My parents stood on my doorstep with suitcases and the audacity to ask why I wouldn't let them move into my house after losing theirs, and I finally told them the truth. Because you spent your mortgage payments on a timeshare in Florida while I was telling you this would happen. I'm 35 years old, and I just refused to let my entire family, parents, brother, sister-in-law, and two nephews move into my three-bedroom house after they lost their home to foreclosure. Not because I'm heartless. Not because I don't love them. But because they spent 2 years ignoring every warning, every offer of help, every piece of financial advice, and now they expect me to absorb the consequences of choices they made deliberately and repeatedly. Let me take you back to where this started, because context is everything. I'm the youngest of two kids. My brother Jason is 38, married to his wife Kelly for 10 years, with two boys, ages 8 and 6. We grew up middle class. Not wealthy, not poor. Comfortable. My parents, Dad worked in manufacturing, Mom was a school secretary, owned their house, took modest vacations, lived within their means. Or so I thought. I was always the responsible one. Saved my money, went to a state school to avoid massive debt, got a degree in accounting. Started working immediately after graduation, lived with roommates in a tiny apartment, drove a used car for 8 years. I was boring, careful, methodical. Jason was the opposite. Charismatic, fun. Always had big plans. He went to a private school on loans, changed majors 3 times, graduated with massive debt, and a degree in communications. Met Kelly senior year, they got married right after graduation, had kids quickly. They've always lived paycheck to paycheck, but they seemed happy. My parents doted on Jason. He was the golden child, charming, social, gave them grandkids early. I was the practical one, the backup plan, the kid they were proud of but didn't really brag about. I accepted that dynamic. I didn't need to be the favorite. I just wanted to build a stable life. 5 years ago, I bought a house. Nothing fancy, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, decent neighborhood. I'd saved for years for the down payment, got a conventional mortgage I could easily afford, and felt proud that at 30, I was a homeowner. My parents were happy for me but made comments like, "It's a little small, isn't it? And Jason's house is bigger." Jason and Kelly lived in a 4-bedroom house in a nicer area. They'd stretched to afford it, but they made it work. Barely. 2 years ago, things started to shift. My parents refinanced their house. They'd owned it for 30 years, had maybe 5 years left on the mortgage. They were so close to owning it outright. But they did a cash-out refinance. Took out $150,000 in equity. I found out when my dad casually mentioned it at a family dinner. "We refinanced," he said proudly. "Got a great rate. And we pulled out some equity." "Why?" I asked carefully. "Well, we wanted to enjoy our retirement. We work hard. We deserve to live a little. But you're resetting your mortgage. You'll be paying it for another 30 years. We'll figure it out. Life's too short not to enjoy it." With that $150,000, my parents bought a timeshare in Florida. A timeshare. The worst financial decision anyone can make. They spent $80,000 on a timeshare that would cost them thousands more annually in maintenance fees. I tried to talk them out of it. Showed them articles about how timeshares were scams. Explained how they'd just added 30 years to their mortgage for something that would drain money forever. "You're too negative," my mom said. "You don't understand the value of experiences." "I understand the value of owning your home," I countered. "You were 5 years away from no house payment. Now you'll be paying until you're in your 80s. We'll manage." They didn't manage. The timeshare maintenance fees started coming. $4,000 a year. Then $4,500. Then $5,200. The fees kept increasing, eating into their budget. Meanwhile, Jason and Kelly were struggling too. Kelly had lost her job, cutbacks at her company. Jason's sales job was commission-based, and he was having a rough year. They had car payments, credit card debt, 2 kids and activities. My parents started helping them. Paying for the kids' sports fees, covering their car payments and months, buying groceries. I watched this unfold with growing concern. My parents had just taken on a bigger mortgage and a timeshare they couldn't afford, and now they were subsidizing Jason's family too. "You can't keep doing this," I told my mom one day. "You're stretching too thin. They're struggling. They have kids. We're helping family. But you're jeopardizing your own financial security." "We're fine." They weren't fine. 6 months after the refinance, they missed their first mortgage payment. They didn't tell anyone. I found out later. They paid it late, with penalties. Then it happened again. And again. They were using credit cards to cover the gap. The debt was spiraling. I tried to have a serious conversation with them. Mom, Dad, we need to talk about your finances. I'm worried. We don't need your worry. We're adults. I'm an accountant. Let me help you make a budget. We don't need a budget. We just need to get through a rough patch. This isn't a rough patch. You refinanced for a timeshare, you're paying massive maintenance fees, and you're supporting Jason's family. The math doesn't work. Jason needs help. He has kids. You wouldn't understand. You don't have children. That stung. But I pushed forward. Sell the timeshare. Cut your losses. Focus on the mortgage. We're not selling the timeshare. We love going to Florida. You've been once. In 2 years. Once. We're going again this winter. They were in denial. Complete, absolute denial. Meanwhile, Jason and Kelly's situation wasn't improving. Kelly got a new job, but it paid less than her old one. Jason was still struggling with sales. My parents kept helping them, paying for birthday parties, covering medical bills, buying school supplies. I tried talking to Jason too. You need to tell Mom and Dad to stop helping you financially. They can't afford it. They offer. I'm not going to say no when my kids need things. But they're drowning, Jason. They refinanced their house for a timeshare, and now they're supporting you too. They're going to lose everything. Don't be dramatic. They're fine. Look at their mortgage statements. They're not fine. How do you even know about their mortgage? Because I pay attention, and I'm begging you to stop taking their money. Mind your own business. 18 months ago, my parents got a foreclosure notice. They'd missed 4 payments. The bank was starting proceedings. They finally told me, crying, panicked. We don't know what happened, my mom sobbed. It just got away from us. I looked at their finances. Really looked at them. The mortgage payment was $2,400 a month, way higher than before the refinance. The timeshare maintenance fees were $5,200 annually. They'd given Jason and Kelly over $30,000 in the past year. They had $45,000 in credit card debt. Interest alone was killing them. Okay, I said, trying to stay calm. Here's what we need to do. First, stop giving Jason money. Completely. He's an adult, he needs to figure it out. Second, sell the timeshare. I don't care if you take a loss. Get rid of it. Third, we need to contact the bank, see if we can work out a payment plan. We can't stop helping Jason. He has kids. And you have a house you're about to lose. You can't help anyone if you're homeless. Selling the timeshare feels like giving up on our dreams. Your dream is going to cost you your house. They didn't listen. They kept the timeshare. Kept helping Jason, though less, to their credit. They tried to negotiate with the bank, but couldn't commit to a realistic payment plan. I offered to help them make a budget, to look at their expenses line by line, to help them prioritize. They refused. Said I was being controlling, that they didn't need a lecture. I'm trying to help you save your house. We'll figure it out our own way. They didn't figure it out. 12 months ago, they got the final foreclosure notice. They had 90 days. I tried one more time, offered to help them declare bankruptcy, to explore every option. Bankruptcy is embarrassing, my dad said. Losing your house is more embarrassing. We're not losing the house. Something will work out. Nothing worked out. They spent those 90 days in denial. Still going to the timeshare. We already paid for the week, still helping Jason occasionally. It was his son's birthday, still refusing to face reality. Jason suggested they move in with him and Kelly, but their house wasn't big enough for bedrooms, but they were already cramped with 2 kids. Maybe temporarily, Kelly said, but we don't have space long term. That's when they looked at me. I have 3 bedrooms. I live alone. I work from home. I have a finished basement. The implication was clear. I had room. 3 months ago, the foreclosure was finalized. My parents had to be out in 30 days. They called a family meeting. We need to talk about living arrangements, my mom said. Here it comes, I thought. We're going to need to stay with family for a while, just until we get back on our feet. How long is a while? I asked. A few months, maybe 6, just until we save up for a new place. Where are you planning to stay? They looked at each other, then at me. We were hoping we could stay with you, my dad said. You have the most room. I have 3 bedrooms. You need to house yourself, Jason's family. No, just us, my mom clarified. Jason and Kelly and the boys will stay in their house. But you've been helping them financially. If you move in with me, will you still be giving them money? Silence. We'll help where we can,
No.
I said it firmly. If you move in with me, there will be rules. No helping Jason financially. You need to save every penny to get your own place. That means no timeshare trips, no unnecessary spending, strict budget. You can't tell us how to spend our money. If you're living in my house rent-free, yes, I can. Because otherwise you'll never save enough to leave. My parents looked offended. We're not asking for charity. You're asking to live in my house without paying rent. That's charity. We're family. Family helps each other. I've been trying to help you for 2 years. You've ignored every piece of advice. And now you want me to house you while you continue the same spending patterns that got you foreclosed on. That's harsh. It's reality. You refinanced for a timeshare. You spent the equity in your house on a vacation scheme. You gave Jason tens of thousands of dollars while missing mortgage payments. These were choices. We were trying to enjoy our retirement. You weren't retired yet. You added 30 years to your mortgage to buy a timeshare, and now you have no house. So you're saying no? You won't help your own parents. I'm saying I won't enable the same behavior that caused this. If you want to live with me, you follow my rules. Strict budget. No helping Jason. No timeshare trips. All money goes towards saving for your own place. They talked it over. Came back 2 days later. We can't agree to those terms, my dad said. We need flexibility. Jason might need help. We have our timeshare week scheduled. Then you can't stay with me. Where are we supposed to go? I don't know. But I'm not going to watch you continue making bad choices under my roof while I subsidize your life. My mom started crying. I can't believe you're abandoning us. I'm not abandoning you. I offered to help with conditions. You rejected those conditions. Because they're unreasonable. They're the bare minimum for financial recovery. And you won't even agree to them. They left angry. Jason called me that night. You're really going to let mom and dad be homeless? They're not going to be homeless. They have options. They just don't like the terms. Your terms are insane. You can't control how they spend their money. I can if they're living in my house for free. They're our parents. And they made choices that led to this. I tried to help. They wouldn't listen. So, now you're punishing them? I'm setting boundaries. If they want my help, they need to accept that help comes with conditions. You're being selfish. Am I?
Let me ask you something.
How much money have they given you in the past 2 years? Silence. Jason, how much? I don't know. Some. Over $30,000. They gave you over $30,000 while missing mortgage payments. Did you ever think to stop accepting it? To tell them you knew they couldn't afford it? They offered. And you took it, knowing they were struggling. And now you're calling me selfish for not bailing out all of you? I have kids. And they had a house. Past tense. Because they chose to support you instead of pay their mortgage. You don't understand what it's like. I understand perfectly. You're all making bad financial choices and expecting me to absorb the consequences. He hung up on me. My parents ended up staying with Jason and Kelly. It's cramped. The boys gave up their playroom. It got converted to a bedroom. My parents sleep on a pull-out couch. They have one closet between them. It's not comfortable. And they're not saving money. I found out through my aunt that they went to Florida for their timeshare week last month. Spent money they don't have on a trip they can't afford. Jason called me after. Can you at least help them a little? Maybe let them store some stuff in your basement.
No.
You have the space. And if I let them store stuff, next it'll be can they stay one night, then just a few nights, then they're living here. I'm not starting down that path. You're really going to watch them struggle? They're not struggling because of circumstances beyond their control. They're struggling because they bought a timeshare because they kept giving you money because they refused to budget. I tried to help. They wouldn't listen. Maybe if you'd offered sooner. I offered constantly. For 2 years. I begged them to sell the timeshare, stop supporting you, work with the bank. They called me controlling and negative and said they'd figure it out. Well, they didn't figure it out. And now you're just going to abandon them? I offered them a place to stay with reasonable conditions. They said no. That's not abandonment. That's them choosing pride over practicality. Last week, my mom called. We've reconsidered, she said stiffly. We'll agree to your terms. Which terms? Living with you. Following your rules. We're ready. What changed? Living with Jason is too cramped. We need our own space. And the timeshare? The helping Jason financially? The budget?
Pause.
We can discuss specifics.
No.
These aren't negotiations. Either you agree to stop the timeshare trips, stop giving Jason money, and follow a strict budget, or you don't move in. We just went to Florida. We can't waste the trip we already paid for next spring. Then you're not ready to move in. You're being unreasonable. I'm being clear. You can't afford the timeshare. You're living on Jason's couch because you couldn't afford your mortgage. The timeshare has to go. Well, think about it. There's nothing to think about. These are the terms. Take them or leave them. She hung up. My extended family is now involved. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all calling to tell me I should just let my parents move in. They're family. They need help. You have the space. Don't you feel guilty? And here's my answer, no. I don't feel guilty. I feel sad. I feel frustrated. I feel angry that they made such preventable mistakes. But I don't feel guilty, because I tried to help. For 2 years, I tried. I offered budgeting help. I begged them to sell the timeshare. I warned them about the foreclosure. I gave them a clear path to avoid this. They chose not to take it. They chose the timeshare over their mortgage. They chose helping Jason over helping themselves. They chose pride over asking for help when it could have made a difference. And now they're facing consequences. And those consequences are not my responsibility to fix, especially when they're still making the same choices. They're still planning timeshare trips, still considering helping Jason, still refusing to acknowledge that their spending patterns are unsustainable. If I let them move in without conditions, I'm enabling that. I'm teaching them that someone will always bail them out. I'm making it possible for them to continue avoiding reality. And I won't do that. Not because I don't love them, but because I do. Because watching them destroy their financial future is painful. And being expected to fund that destruction is unreasonable. Last night, my dad called. We need to know if you're going to help us or not. We need to make other plans. I've told you my terms. If you meet them, you can move in. If you don't, you can't. Your terms are extreme. They're basic financial responsibility. We're adults. We don't need you dictating our lives. Then find another place to live. You're really doing this? Choosing money over family? I'm not choosing money over family. I'm choosing not to enable financial irresponsibility. There's a difference. You'll regret this. I regret that you refinanced your house for a timeshare. I regret that you ignored 2 years of warnings. I regret that we're in this situation at all. But I don't regret setting boundaries. You're just like your grandfather. Cold. Calculating. Grandpa died with his house paid off and money in the bank. Maybe being calculating isn't the worst thing. He hung up. This morning, my brother showed up at my door. We need to talk. I let him in. Mom and Dad can't keep living with us. It's too cramped. The kids are stressed. Kelly's stressed. We need our house back. Okay. So, you need to take them. No, I don't. Yes, you do. You have space. You live alone. You can afford it. I offered. They refused my terms. Your terms are ridiculous. No timeshare trips? No helping family? Who are you to dictate that? I'm the person whose house they want to live in rent-free. I get to set terms. They're desperate. They're still planning a Florida trip in the spring. That's not desperate. That's entitled. Jason ran his hand through his hair, frustrated. Look, I get it. They made mistakes. But they need help now. And I'm offering help. With conditions. Can't you just let them stay and work out the details later?
No.
Because later never comes. They'll move in, promise to save, and then suddenly there's the Florida trip they already paid for, or you need help with something, or there's always an excuse. I'm not doing that. So, what are they supposed to do? Rent an apartment.
Get jobs.
Live within their means. Like adults. They're in their 60s. And whose fault is that? They refinanced at 63. They bought a timeshare at 63. They have 30 years left on a mortgage they took out at 63. These were choices. Everyone makes mistakes. Making a mistake is forgetting to pay a bill once. This was 2 years of deliberate choices despite constant warnings. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. You're really not going to help them. I offered to help them. They said no. Jason stood up.
Fine.
Then I'm done too. If they can't stay with you, I'm telling them they need to leave our house. Find somewhere else. I've got my own family to worry about. Okay. Okay? That's it. What do you want me to say? You've been living beyond your means for years, taking their money while they couldn't afford it. Now you're overwhelmed by them living with you. None of this is my problem to solve. You're unbelievable. I'm consistent. I've been saying this for 2 years. He left, slamming the door. I don't know what my parents will do now. I assume they'll rent an apartment. They have Social Security. My dad has a pension. They have income. It won't be comfortable, but it'll be something. Unless they keep the timeshare. Then they'll struggle. But that's their choice. And I'm not responsible for their choices. My aunt called this afternoon. You know you're tearing this family apart, right? I'm not tearing anything apart. I'm just not piecing together something that was broken by other people's choices. Family is supposed to help each other. I try to help. I offered budgeting assistance, financial advice, a place to stay with conditions. All of it was rejected. Because your conditions are harsh. My conditions are don't spend money you don't have on things you don't need. That's not harsh. That's basic. You're going to regret this when they're gone and you miss the chance to help them. Maybe. But I'll regret enabling their financial destruction more. Here's what I know. I'm not wrong for setting boundaries. I'm not cruel for having conditions. I'm not selfish for refusing to subsidize choices I warned against for years. My parents are adults who made adult decisions. Bad decisions, but decisions nonetheless. They refinanced their house for a timeshare. They gave away tens of thousands while missing mortgage payments. They ignored every warning, every offer of help, every piece of advice. And now they're facing consequences. And those consequences are uncomfortable.
And sad.
And frustrating. But they're not mine to fix. Not without conditions. Not without changes. Not without acknowledgement that the patterns that led here can't continue. And if that makes me the villain in this story, I can live with that. Because I've learned something important. You can't help people who won't help themselves. You can't save people who won't stop sinking the ship. And you can't enable destructive patterns and call it love. My family lost their house. And they want me to save them. But I can't save people from themselves. I can only refuse to drown with them. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Even if it means being the bad guy. Even if it means family gatherings will be awkward forever. Even if it means they'll never forgive me. I'm choosing my own financial stability over their financial irresponsibility. And I'm not apologizing for that.
Not now.
Not ever. They made their choices. I'm making mine. And my choice is no. No, you can't move in without conditions. No, you can't continue the timeshare under my roof. No, you can't keep making bad choices and expect me to absorb the impact.
No.
It's a complete sentence. And it's the only answer I have left.